Tiny PCs keep getting more ridiculous, but this one feels like the point where compact hardware stops being cute and starts being genuinely outrageous. Today we are taking a deep look at the ROG NUC 16 Edition 20 in all its glory. ASUS is pairing an Intel Core Ultra 9 290HX Plus with a GeForce RTX 5090 laptop GPU, and in a 3-liter chassis. That is a very serious statement. The big question is simple. Does this thing justify the price, the heat, and the hype? Let us find out. This thing is pure premium, including the box and packaging. The box lifts up to reveal the main character, the NUC 16. Then, of course, there's the manual and some paperwork. And then there's the beefy power supply that uses a proprietary plug, which makes sense considering the 380-watt output. Then finally, underneath you get the 2 clip-on feet that allows you to sit the NUC vertically or horizontally. That's pretty much it in the box. Short, sweet, and simple. The design is all about balancing aggression with restraint. You get a removable stand, a toolless front thumbscrew for access, and enough ventilation to remind you that this thing is built around serious power density. The cooling system is not marketing fluff either. 3 quiet flow fans, a dual vapor chamber, and a dedicated memory fan are doing real work here. ASUS says that design helps push CPU thermal capacity up by 21% and lets the system dump around 300 watts of combined CPU and GPU heat. That number matters, because this is exactly the kind of machine that can look quiet and innocent until you actually load it. Under the hood, this is the full flagship recipe. You get the Intel Core Ultra 9 290HX Plus, the GeForce RTX 5090 laptop GPU with 24 gigabytes of GDDR7 and up to 128 gigabytes of DDR5 memory, depending on the configuration. The GPU is rated for up to 175 watts sustained, which is a big part of why this tiny box can move like a much larger machine. Storage support includes one PCIe Gen 5 M.2 slot and one PCIe Gen 4 M.2 slot, with a 2 terabyte PCIe Gen 5 SSD included on the listed configuration. On the back, you have 4 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports running at 20 gigabit speed. For networking, there is a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, Intel Killer Wi-Fi 7, and Bluetooth 5.4. To the middle, there's a Thunderbolt 4 Type-C with DisplayPort 2.1. For display out, there's 2 DisplayPort 2.1 ports and 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. Then there's that power in port and the Kensington lock slot. Some of you may have noticed that there is no audio out port available in the back. This was definitely a disappointment for me. For the front I/O, there's the power button, a 3.5mm combo audio jack, a USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port running at 20 gigabit speed, and 2 USB Type-A ports running at 10 gigabit speed. It wouldn't be an ROG product if it doesn't have flashy LED around the chassis. The ROG logo on top and the light strip on the front panel is controllable via the Armoury Crate software inside Windows. You can also do Aura Sync with the software. There is a slider for the brightness, but I didn't really see any differences from changing the settings. The LEDs are just too dim. One thing people online are already pointing out is the memory story. ASUS marketing says up to 128 gigabytes, but the product page for this SKU also shows a 64 gigabyte ceiling in the specs table, so make sure to clarify that before you spend $5,999. Mini PCs with high-end gaming GPUs live or die on cooling. In this case, ASUS is clearly trying to stay ahead of the problem instead of just reacting to it. The triple fan layout and dual vapor chamber keep the machine composed for a box this small. In the testing data, idle noise landed at 35.1 decibels, and full load came in at 41.1 decibels. The bigger catch is power, because idle draw was 59.5 watts and full load reached 297.7 watts. That is not low-power mini PC territory. That is tiny flagship desktop territory. So unless power cost isn't an issue, I wouldn't recommend having this run 24/7 as a home lab. Now for the part everyone came to see, the gaming benchmarks. All tests are an average of multiple runs, with ray tracing on, DLSS on quality, and no frame generation. The ROG NUC is posting numbers that would have sounded absurd in a full-sized PC today. In the 1080p test, Cyberpunk 2077 hit 389 frames per second average. Remnant 2 hit 217. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 hit 193. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider landed at 149, which is probably where the game engine caps at. Even Forza Horizon 5 was sitting at 49 frames per second. At 1440p, it stays strong too. Cyberpunk 274, Remnant 2 217, Clair Obscur 156, Tomb Raider 150, and Forza about 49 to 50. And at ultra-wide 1440p, it is still hanging in there with Cyberpunk at 221 and Remnant 2 at 217. In other words, this does not feel like a mini PC struggling to keep up. It feels like a full-size desktop that is breezing through all these demanding games. For creator work, the story is just as interesting. In DaVinci Resolve Studio, scrubbing both 1080p timeline and 4K timeline is a breeze without any stuttering or lag. A 4-minute 1080p render came in at 1 minute and 3 seconds with no upscale, and 1 minute and 43 seconds with 2 times upscale. The same project at 4K took 3 minutes and 48 seconds, with no upscale, and 3 minutes and 54 seconds with 2 times upscale. That is a very respectable result for a 3-liter machine, even if a full desktop RTX 4090 system is still faster. For anyone editing on a small desk or in a living room setup, that balance is exactly the appeal. And yes, this machine is also very capable for local AI workloads. In the token per second charts, the ROG NUC hit 110.22 tokens per second on DeepSeek Air 105288B, and even climbed to 209.39 on Gemma 4e2b. Time to first token was as low as 0.25 seconds on the DeepSeek test, and 0.18 seconds on the Gemma 412B run. That is the kind of responsiveness that makes local inference feel usable instead of merely impressive on paper. It is not a replacement for a full desktop workstation with more headroom, but for a compact box, this is legitimately strong. Moving past raw specs, let us talk about actual compute muscle, starting with Cinebench 2024. This is where the Intel Core Ultra 9 290HX Plus gets to flex its architecture in all its glory. In the multi-core test, the ROG NUC absolutely dominated with a score of 1,946. To put that into perspective, the Minisforum UM690L Slim scored 724, while the Lenovo Yoga 7 laptop came in at 718. That is nearly 3 times the multi-threaded performance of standard premium laptops, packed into a chassis that is barely any larger. On single-core performance, the Ultra 9 posted a score of 137, easily beating the Lenovo's 96 and the Minisforum's 90. But what about local generative AI? We ran a heavy ComfyUI benchmark using a warm start, generating a batch of 4 images at 1024 by 1024 resolution, over 50 steps. The ROG NUC, with its mobile RTX 5090, completed the run in 41.34 seconds. Now, how does that compare to full-sized desktop hardware? A desktop Ryzen 9 7950X paired with an enterprise Intel Arc Pro B70 card completed the same run in 40.32 seconds. Meanwhile, an elite desktop-class RTX 4090 system finished the task in 28.25 seconds. The fact that this 3-liter mini PC is breathing down the neck of an enterprise desktop setup is incredibly impressive. It proves this machine is a genuine creative powerhouse, not just a gaming box. Let us break this down and see what we are really dealing with here. First, let us look at the pros. We are getting top-tier gaming performance packed into a tiny 3-liter chassis. Inside, it is sporting an RTX 5090 laptop GPU, complete with 24 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory. For its size, this machine delivers excellent creator and local AI performance. You also get strong I/O connectivity, Wi-Fi 7, and a very serious cooling system to keep those temperatures in check. To top it all off, the premium anniversary design actually looks incredibly special. But now we have to talk about the cons. $5,999 is a brutal starting price. To make matters worse, the official messaging around the memory specs is still a bit messy, and it definitely needs clearer confirmation. We also have to point out that the idle power draw is quite high for a mini PC. On top of that, regional availability is still pretty uneven, especially if you live outside of the major launch markets. At the end of the day, this is absolutely not a value buy. It is a niche, ultra-premium machine, and it definitely needs the right buyer. So unless you are absolutely sure you need this for the small size and performance, I would steer away and look at cheaper alternatives. If you want the short version, the ROG NUC 16 Edition 20 is for someone who wants a genuinely extreme gaming and creator machine, but does not want a tower under the desk. It is for buyers who care more about compact flagships than about value. It is for the person who wants RTX 5090 class laptop performance in a tiny, high-end enclosure that looks special on the desk. And if that sounds like you, this is one of the most interesting mini PCs money can buy in all its glory. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the ROG NUC 16 Edition 20. If this video helped, hit like, subscribe, and let me know what you think of the price to performance trade-off. Would you buy a mini PC like this? Or would you rather build a full tower for the same money? Either way, I will see you in the next one. Until then, that is the ROG NUC 16 Edition 20 in all its glory.